Welcome to our show, Defense Briefing. I'm your host, Liang Jun. We're diving into some significant developments in global defense and politics. First, Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin had to cancel his much-anticipated trip to South Korea due to political chaos following President Yoon Suk-yeol's brief imposition of martial law. This change has left Austin focusing solely on Japan during his visit, highlighting the ongoing challenges South Korea faces in maintaining political stability. In another twist, Secretary of State Antony Blinken is stepping in to discuss the implications of the martial law decision with South Korea's foreign minister. This conversation comes as the U.S. affirms its support for democracy and the rule of law in South Korea, amidst growing calls for President Yoon's impeachment. It's a critical moment for U.S. South Korea relations as they navigate these turbulent waters together. Lastly, we turn our attention to Estonia, where authorities have charged a prominent pro-Russian figure for orchestrating acts of vandalism on behalf of Russia's military intelligence. This incident is part of a broader pattern of sabotage attributed to Russian operatives across Europe, raising alarms about the ongoing security challenges faced by nations in the region. Please stay tuned for more detailed coverage of these stories. Nikkei reports that Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin has canceled his upcoming trip to South Korea, originally planned as part of a farewell tour that included Japan. This decision follows South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol's controversial and brief imposition of martial law, which sparked significant public backlash and an impending impeachment vote. The martial law order was quickly rescinded by the National Assembly, but it led to the resignation of Defense Minister Kim Yong-hyun, who had supported the action. Austin's visit to Japan will proceed as planned, marking his 13th trip to the Indo-Pacific region, emphasizing the U.S. commitment to strengthening alliances in the area. South China Morning Post highlights that Secretary of State Antony Blinken is expected to communicate with South Korean Foreign Minister Cho Tae-yeol soon, following the martial law incident. The U.S. expressed concerns about the implications of Yoon's decision, with Deputy Spokesman Vedant Patel emphasizing that the U.S.-South Korea alliance remains strong despite the turmoil. The opposition in South Korea has filed for Yoon's impeachment, citing his actions as problematic and illegitimate. In the wake of these developments, the Pentagon has maintained contact with South Korea's defense ministry, ensuring ongoing dialogue about the situation. NY Times reveals that Alan Hansen, a prominent figure in Estonia's pro-Russian political movement, has been charged with organizing vandalism on behalf of Russia's military intelligence service, the His actions, which included targeting the vehicles of government officials and defacing World War I monuments, are part of a broader trend of Russian sabotage operations across Europe. These incidents are not isolated, as they reflect a pattern of disruptive activities linked to Russian operatives, including anti-Semitic graffiti in France and suspicious fires in various locations. The Estonian authorities' revelations underscore the ongoing threat posed by Russian influence and espionage in the region. Yahoo US reports that Bill Belichick, the renowned former head coach of the New England Patriots, has engaged in discussions with representatives from North Carolina regarding their vacant head coaching position. Despite his impressive credentials, including 6 Super Bowl victories, Belichick's age of 7 and lack of college coaching experience may hinder his candidacy. Sources indicate that while Belichick left a strong impression during his interview, the likelihood of him taking on this role is slim. The Tar Heels recently parted ways with coach Mac Brown, who had a successful tenure but ended the season with a disappointing 6-6 record. Belichick's connections in the college football world, particularly with Nick Saban, could provide him with insights if he were to transition into this new realm. The South China Morning Post highlights the cautious stance of the Pentagon regarding the growing military cooperation between Russia and China in the Arctic. Iris Ferguson, a Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense, emphasized that while the recent joint air patrols by the two nations signal a shift in Russia's Arctic policy, it does not constitute a formal alliance. The EU recognizes the strategic importance of the Arctic, especially as climate change opens new maritime routes and military opportunities. With Russia's increasing reliance on China for Arctic development, the Pentagon is vigilant, aware that the region could become a new front in military competition. especially as both countries conduct joint military operations. In another report from the South China Morning Post, Project 2025, a conservative initiative linked to Donald Trump, is intensifying efforts to secure the nomination of Pete Hegseth as Secretary of Defense. The Heritage Foundation plans to invest $1 million to rally support for Hegseth, whose nomination faces scrutiny due to his controversial views and personal conduct. As some Republican senators express hesitance, Project 2025 aims to frame opposition to Hegseth as out of step with the Trump agenda. This initiative reflects a broader strategy to influence the incoming administration and solidify Trump's agenda, which includes radical proposals for government restructuring. The project's proponents view a second Trump term as a pivotal moment for the country, signaling a potential refounding of American governance. NY Times. In a dramatic turn of events, Syrian rebels stormed into Hama, marking a significant setback for President Bashar al-Assad as government forces retreated. This advance follows the rebels' recent capture of Aleppo, a critical northern hub, signaling a shift in the dynamics of the 13-year civil war that has devastated Syria and fueled a refugee crisis across the region. Rebel leader Abu Mohammed al-Jawlani urged his fighters to continue their momentum towards Damascus, capitalizing on the confusion within Assad's ranks as soldiers abandon their posts. Analysts suggest that the prolonged conflict has severely weakened Assad's forces, while his allies, including Russia and Iran, are preoccupied with their own crises. Australian Broadcasting Corporation. In response to growing competition from China, Australia is significantly increasing its policing and security assistance to the Solomon Islands. The Australian government is set to announce plans to bolster the Royal Solomon Islands police force, which aims to double its size. This comes amid a backdrop of recent unrest in the islands, with both current and former prime ministers emphasizing the need for enhanced policing capabilities. Australia has historically been the primary security partner for the Solomon Islands, having previously led extensive missions to restore order after civil conflict. The heightened security collaboration is seen as a strategic move to counter China's influence in the Pacific, particularly following China's security agreements with the Solomon Islands. Associated Press. The Heritage Foundation is intensifying its campaign to secure the confirmation of Pete Hegseth as Secretary of Defense in the incoming Trump administration. With a budget of $1 million, the think tank came to sway Republican senators who are hesitant to support Hegseth due to concerns over his controversial views and personal conduct. Heritage Foundation President Kevin Roberts argues that opposition to Hegseth is driven by establishment forces out of sync with Trump's agenda. This effort underscores the rising influence of Project 2025, a conservative blueprint linked to Trump that proposes significant changes to federal employment and government structure. As Trump prepares for his second term, Roberts envisions it as a pivotal moment in America's political landscape, signaling a refounding of the country. Inside Europe. 5 December 2024 reports on significant political upheaval, highlighting the collapse of the French government amidst ongoing turmoil. In Georgia, the situation escalates as the police launch a brutal crackdown on demonstrators, raising concerns over human rights abuses. Meanwhile, the UK is making strides towards legalizing assisted dying, a contentious issue that is sparking debates across the nation. The article features a special segment with Chris Stephen, a future of war crimes justice, who discusses the International Criminal Court's role in addressing war crimes. Additionally, it covers the case of Sea-Watch, which is taking legal action against the Italian Coast Guard, and sheds light on the miscarriage of justice in Norway, underscoring the complexities and challenges within the realm of legal accountability. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the 60O team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of 60O Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 60O team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity, To customize 60O brief to meet your professional needs, you'll have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website. 60brief. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive 60O brief via email.